Hi, and welcome to another installment of Connect with Carla B. Oftentimes, we're talking to various people within my community, or I want to call it my sub-city. You guys know my sub-city is South St. Pete. In my mind, it's a whole city all to itself. But there are times when people come into our city and they then navigate the city, connecting with people. And I'm sitting with one such guest this morning. So he is the head of an organization here in Florida. And I've known him now for a couple of years. We met shortly after he arrived in our city. And I'm thinking, but I hope I have this right. Nashid, would you introduce yourself the way Isaac Hayes?
Wow.
If the Isaac Hayes was here to introduce you, what would he say? What type of introduction would he give? And what would be important to you that people know about you?
Wow. Good catch. Well, first, I doubt I could get the voice right. So, listeners, please bear with me as I play around with this voice. But I had the pleasure of building an exhibit for the Stax Museum of American Soul Music, and I outfitted all of the exhibits, and his exhibit was the largest, and it included his peacock blue 1972 Cadillac Eldorado. It was gold trimmed. It had a refrigerator, a TV, and a telephone in it. 1972, right?
Wow.
And so
he was pimped and balling.
Yeah. So, but even though I was a director of the museum, he couldn't pronounce my name fully, so he called me Little Curator. And so, and I was 27 years old, and he would say, "Hey, Little Curator, I know it's 5 a.m. Glad you answered the phone. You better had answered the phone. We need to get down to the archives right now." So he would introduce me as probably Little Curator. You don't take no mess. He won't listen to anything I have to say as important as a story. He wants to tell the story the way he thinks he needs to tell the story, even though I live the story. I love his spirit. He's an old soul. Here's Nashid Madyun from Helena, Arkansas. That's so. He really got he really enjoyed the fact that I was not starstruck. And I was just interested in the slice of life stories. Like, if you're driving that Cadillac down the street, who was in the back seat? Because you would make a point that no one is sitting in the front seat with you. So that means somebody's in the back seat. So there was a group.
So he had this this idiosyncrasy of nobody sitting in the passenger seat of the car.
Yeah.
Wow. Why was that?
You're my guest, so I'm gonna chauffeur you around.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And he only had he didn't drink alcohol. He only had apple cider. Apple cider in the refrigerator. That's what he would drink. And but the goodies, there was a group called the Goodies that would ride around with him a lot. 3 women, and they would have a ball. They would go to get grilled cheese sandwiches and different things around town. But that was a remarkable experience. Remarkable gentleman. He was surprisingly enough well read, and we would talk about a variety of things. But his one of the things he liked about me was that even though I was 26, 27 at the time, I was very familiar with blues and soul music from the region, because I'm from the region. And I was very interested in trying to get the authentic story. And I didn't take no mess, that's what he would say.
And at that age, you didn't take no mess?
No, I couldn't. I didn't have the luxury because so many people were invested in that project. And my training at the time was to find the middle road and find a story, find a way to tell the story that didn't appeal to scholars didn't appeal to youth; it appealed to everybody. And so I was right off of that of learning that, and I did not have a luxury.
How did they make the decision that it would be you? And growing up, is that what you thought you'd be doing at that
No.
time?
Not at all. Not at all. I wanted to be a history teacher at a high school, eventually a principal. That was the ultimate goal. I had a mentor that I really appreciated, Mr. Ernest Simpson. Growing up, he kind of looked out for me in a variety of ways, and knocked me back on the street when I got off the road. And so when I went to college, I had a love for history and said, "Hey, this was an icon. This was a community hero, and I aspired to duplicate that in some way." I'm from a small town, so when I graduated college, there were no history teaching jobs. To tell you a little background, Helena, Arkansas, population 7,000 if there's a festival going on, and
7,000.
yeah,
Wow.
and so there's one high school, one middle school, two elementaries, because you still had a level of segregation going on, even though it was 80s. And so the history teacher had been there 20, 30 years and wasn't going anywhere. So,
Right.
but it just so happened there was a museum that was part of the Department of Arkansas Heritage that needed someone to curate and develop exhibits. And my history degree lended me to that.
Okay.
And I stayed with it. So I cut my teeth on those blues and Eastern Arkansas exhibitions.
Okay.
I also knew how to write grants. I did a project that explored the E-lane race routes in
You don't want to
1919.
say language like I know how to write grants in St. Pete. You're gonna have people jumping all over you. They're gonna be seeking you out.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've come across that before, so I definitely understand. And there's, to switch gears, I do appreciate that about St. Petersburg. There are a lot of people in this town. I've been here about 2 years. That they follow their passion. They come across something that's underserved, a population that hasn't been recognized, or a story that needs to be told, and they pull the resources from wherever. GoFundMe, stand on a corner, call a friend, house parties, and they find a way to tell the story and make it happen. So I do appreciate that. But yeah, I imagine that even what I do as head of Florida Humanities, we come across people who are trying to find a way to tell a story.
Right.
And that's what I like that about St. Pete. I love that about St.
And
Pete.
it's interesting because as I'm sitting here talking to you, like some of the first thoughts that came to my mind is you are a born storyteller.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I've known you and that wasn't my thinking about you all along. But sitting here talking to you, I'm like, you're a storyteller.
Yeah, thank you.
And you fast forward to Florida Humanities, but I also want to say as part of your introduction that you're a father.
Oh, yes. I have two children, John and Amani. Amani is my daughter. She's the oldest. She's 25. And Jonathan, he'll be 21 in 2 weeks. He'll be 21 years old. They live in Virginia. And if you meet them and they know that I know you, the first thing they're going to do is start to imitate and mock and tell stories as well about me. And they have me down, even my mannerisms and how I react to things are not logical. So some people will say, make it make sense.
That's what I say.
Yeah, I have it on my face. I was thinking about you say you will say make it make sense, but I run that on my face, and they know those looks I have. And but they're wonderful, spiritual. My daughter, she is an avid reader. She believes that there's good in everybody. Oddly enough,
that's beautiful to still have in the world. We need those people in the world.
I'm very proud that they paid attention to some things that I was doing. They are familiar with art, music, because I ran those museums as they were growing up. So they're culturally diverse, but they're also optimistic. And to have that in this generation, to have them positioned to contribute to their generation with optimism, I'm very proud of them. And sometimes when I'm wrestling with a thought, I can call them now as adults already.
Isn't that nice?
Yes, we have adult relationships and conversations, and I'm learning. I learn from my son. He watches MSNBC and Fox, and even though he's overcome a learning disability,
Right.
he has found a way to navigate communication through research and listening, and he tells stories better than I do. So
I don't know if you know this, but one of the deepest forms of love is, the act that someone would imitate you.
Ah,
It's a deep love. They may not even realize. So next time they do it, just say thank you for loving me.
oh, thank you. I would share that.
Flip
I would
it back.
share that.
Thank you for loving me.
Yeah.
Every time. They say flattery, like imitation is a form of flattery, right? So
Yes.
I see it as a deep sense because I used to imitate my dad all the time until his sisters told me, "Oh, you must really love that man." And I was like, and then I realized, oh, it's true, So
That's eye opening.
Flip it back on them, and they will either have greater intent, or they may pull back like, nah, that's not what it is.
I appreciate that. I receive that. Thank you.
It is. So let's see. You came to our city, and I rarely remember how I actually meet someone. So most times I'll be like, hey, do you remember how we first connected?
Yeah.
You, I remember.
Yeah.
But tell everyone else, how did you and I first connect?
So there was an artist out of Tallahassee, and I was running the Black Archives for Florida A&M University, and there was not a lot of art appreciation and art outlets. And this young lady, Robin, utilized her challenge with anxiety and some issues like that, and expressed it in her art. And she came a long way to the point where her art resonated, folk art, and it was beautiful and expressive. And I provided an opportunity for her to show her work, and it was well received. And we connected and stayed in touch. And so when I made it to St. Petersburg, she said, I know somebody you need to know. If you want to ingratiate yourself or just become familiar and touch base with the art scene, I know somebody who knows everybody. And she is relentless in her pursuit of connecting people, hence the show here.
Right.
2 years ago, I think I've made it here. I've been here at the time maybe 2 months or something like that. And we connected, and one morning I think I came over and Bob Devin Jones was leaving, and I was like, whoa, I'm meeting people already. I left with a huge smile. It was a great introduction to the city. If everybody, my thought was, if everybody was similar in some way to Carla, then St. Pete is going to be a great town and to live in, and it has. I've made some great friendships. The art community embraces all types of perspectives. It's eclectic in a beautiful way.
Yes.
In a beautiful way. It's eclectic in a beautiful way.
So you're still loving being here?
Oh, yeah. Second Saturday, the art walks. There's always a new place to go. There's always with the restaurant. If you're a foodie, if you're a foodie in St. Petersburg, you're in heaven.
So you don't know this, but I became a vegetarian this year.
Really?
So all year, vegetarian, right? Darn, almost teetering on vegan, but not being religious about anything, right? But man, the additional appreciation for food when you eliminate meat from it, and me, I love seafood, and so to eliminate that from it, and then really appreciate beans and tofu and veggies, and as somebody who gets bored easily, to really still be have a high enjoyment of food. Like, I forgot the name of the place somebody told me about yesterday. It's a sushi place by a young black female. I forgot what it was called, but it was called something really cool. But it's all vegan sushi or something like that.
Vegan
young
sushi.
Black female.
Oh, wow.
And it's on 20th and Central. And so I haven't even been there yet. But when I looked at the presentation of the food, but not one time, and we're in September, have I felt like I'm missing out on something. You know what I mean?
Well,
I love Indian food. I love Thai food. Everything that I love, I'm enjoying just without me.
Well, the just up and down Central Avenue, you're gonna have 5 or 6 restaurants at the least that lends itself, and then the culture of the people coming from around the world and the country all the time. They have different cuisines that they appreciate, and St. Pete, welcomes that. And a lot of I don't think you ever find yourself lacking for choices, being a vegan or a vegetarian or however. But the farmers market.
Oh yeah, Saturday market, which is coming back in October.
Yeah.
They have to take their little summer break because the downscale of it at Williams Park is just not as pretty.
Right. But I think that you won't ever lack in options. Yeah. So. What made you, if I can ask, what made you?
Oh Lord! Look at the storyteller trying to flip the script on me. What made me what?
What made you go vegetarian? Because from what I remember, you not only are a foodie, you're a great cook, and you know how spices and meats and fruits blend and match.
Why though? I should have brought you some of we make a really great pesto at the farm. I'll make sure I send some for you. But that's what makes it even more exciting, right? If you know and understand flavor profiles, then you can make anything taste good. And I'm not one of those vegetarians that's like, I'm only eating, or I'm not I'm not missing out for anything. And it's like, most people should just be like, Carla, maybe I'll start doing that. Maybe I'll start blogging about what I'm eating, because I think there's a big misconception. The thing that I miss most is fish.
Yeah.
Like, I love salmon. We farm raised tilapia at the farm. So, and that particular tilapia that we farm raised is such a delicate white fish. So, I don't know. Maybe next year I'll incorporate fish again. But I started dating somebody who was a vegan in the beginning of the year, and I enjoy food experiences with my partner. Yeah. And so I was like, he's vegan, and like cold turkey, just like that.
Do you find yourself with more energy?
I'm gonna tell you, I feel phenomenal.
Yeah, I heard.
So it's 100% true. Yeah. I feel great, and so my daughter hasn't transitioned. Most people laugh. I even laugh. I'm like, I'm the last person on the planet, but the truth is, I really didn't have that far to go.
Yeah.
And so it made dining more wonderful, because I didn't want to be insensitive. And somebody who's a vegan or vegetarian, I don't think there's any insensitivity on their part if I'm sitting here eating something else.
Right.
It's just not my spirit. So I think it was the time.
Right.
The ancestors must have said, girl, let's pull this back and see how you feel. And I feel like amazing.
Wow. There's 2 things there that you reminded me of. But one, I was in Orlando a year ago. There was a festival. Maybe 2 years ago, there was a plant-based festival, and all plant-based, ice cream, just different things, and I got a T-shirt, plant-based pimping. So I'll see if I can find the website and get it over to you. Plant-based pimping.
So I haven't gone to any plant-based events, and so it's kind of interesting, right? Because the work I do. And then now that I'm a vegan, I'm like, oh my God, just almost seeming cliche. I don't want to be that person. Yeah. But being able to model what I'm talking about, it ain't all bad.
How often are you in Miami?
I'm going to Miami for Carnival in October.
Okay. Make your way over to Little Haiti
Mhm.
Cultural Center.
Mhm.
I was there last Saturday.
Mhm.
They opened an exhibit called A Call to My Ancestors.
Mm.
Yeah, and so the exhibit was very dynamic. Lincoln Park Memorial um, Cemetery
Okay.
had an oral history project,
Mm.
and the oral history supported a photography exhibition.
Wow.
So they're telling the story through Haitian symbolism,
Okay.
and you are set up to call your ancestors. There's even an old school phone booth.
That I
It's
don't know
a
why that made me emotional.
yeah.
My eyes are tearing up just hearing that.
As a matter of fact, the leader of the curator of the exhibition, as it opened, Marvin Dunn was there. Dr. Dunn, the leader of the exhibition, choked up as he was talking
Mhm.
about it, and as he started to talk about his mother and his, how sometimes there are obstacles in your way, and you speak to your ancestors, but then also not just your mother, but your mom's mother, because you have that wealth
Like,
in you.
have you done your ancestry DNA?
Yes.
How long ago?
I think my mom sent us kits for our for Christmas about 4 years ago,
Mhm.
and so we're connected. It's West Ghana, West Africa and Ghana, and our family came down from Virginia through New Orleans up through Mississippi, and so it allows you to track the concentration throughout the country. And oddly enough, there's some Chinese in the family. Some who knows how that happened, but we did track that. Also, we had Haskell Bingham. My family name is Bingham. Passed away a few years ago, but he did research our family back to Ghana and how we made it over to Virginia, the Bingham family. And we did learn that. Are you familiar with Gabriel's Rebellion? The rebellion that occurred in Virginia, the story that sparked the song "Shoe Fly Shoe," and the rebellion that was failed, that thereafter restrict the movements of slaves, and allowed for people to recapture and deliver slaves back to a plantation by force. But Gabriel Prosser is a slave who led that rebellion that failed, but he's an ancestor of ours.
Oh wow!
So yes,
How did it make you? Well, as a history buff already, how did it make you feel to have, or what feelings did you have about being able to have that historic footprint? How did it? What did you feel about it?
It's certainly there was certainly a level of validation. It sparks your curiosity. It wants you to ask more questions. I did. My brother and I, we have that connection. We talk more about that than we did in the past, and I was able to learn that there are a long line of educators that, teachers of a variety, English teachers, more writers, preachers in the family. I don't plan on preaching, but they're there.
Brother. Amen.
They're there, and so, but to see, my profession and what I'm doing now in the community service and helping organizations, reveal their passions to the public in a variety of ways, is very similar to what my ancestors did, and so it gives you kind of that check mark or that green light to continue and stay.
So when you think about us, Black people, culturally being absent of that historical data, and then now having access to it, so maybe you and I that set ourselves on a path and a trajectory and are able to accomplish things, can you imagine what that would do for our younger generation and even their families if they had access to that? I've been toying with this idea, and I mentioned it to Dr. Tomlin, and I'll mention it to you as well. And it's interesting because some folks have shared with me the flip side of it. I was talking about this idea that we would take 500 people or something
Yeah.
in South, people of color, in South St. Pete or in St. Petersburg or in Pinellas or whatever it is, and we would all get funded. It would be funded.
Right.
Our DNA is done, and then there would be a public reveal, right? And then part of that public reveal would be to then almost to reestablish your village. And so it says you're from Ghana, and let's say it says I'm from Ghana, so we're over here. And then in reestablishing our village, and I'm talking in the virtual sense, but in reestablishing our village, it's like, oh, Carla, so now you're a vegetarian now? You know, I've been thinking about it. And we realized, wow, there's 6, 7, 8 other people that have become vegetarian because maybe culturally where we're from, it was about all those root vegetables that have been eliminated, or different things that we realize we have an appreciation for that's tied back. So that's my positive side of it, like the power that would be in that room, all these people to go to their different sections based on high percentage of blank that's in your DNA. And then somebody said to me, someone who I'll leave nameless said, Carla, they're going to find out that 6 of them belong to the same daddy from the same papa. So not every, my little whimsical mind and the reality of how people think sometimes don't go together. But that was the flip side of it. Somebody brought up to me.
But I will add to that. I will add to that. There is, there's value in finding a connective tissue in a society, microcosm, a society within a society, and it re-establishes the opportunity for a social contract. The contract between the people and the governing body, and there's a fear that the generation that's emerging now has no affinity or connection with the civic, not just civilization, not just government, but your society, your neighborhood. There's a disconnect because what are they connected to? TikTok, Instagram. They're connected to the world, but not their neighborhood.
Right.
But if you provide an opportunity for them to connect with their neighborhood, we can reestablish that village. And now you have power in the connective tissue. And when it's time to engage with the municipality and say, we are about these values, we have this heritage, we have these issues that we love and embrace, they can argue on behalf of that village that's now established with this connective tissue, and in concert go say, City of St. Pete, can you provide for this? Can you provide more of this? Maybe it's environment, maybe it is vegetables, maybe it's access to X, Y, and Z, when there was no access. And one person asking or inquiring about a solution doesn't have as much power as that village speaking from a connective tissue and saying, we need this, we require this, and with political power, we can demand this.
Right, and that's the thing. There's such a disconnect and a lack of association to politics, right? And politics is a dirty word. But you just landed the plane right on it.
Yeah.
It's that where is the agenda? And I think if we just focus on the agenda, what is the agenda that will benefit us in, whether it be in my neighborhood, in my city, in my whatever. And let's act based on the agenda, and let's act based on alignment with the agenda.
Right.
But I don't think people are realizing that the things that you're interested in, even the preservation of the things that you're interested in, is tied to policies. Policies are tied to politicians.
Yeah, but see, here's the risk. If we don't have dialogue, and we don't have, we don't find the thread in that tapestry that connects us and brings us together, this mutual understanding of heritage or the DNA or whatever it is that connects us as this village that you're describing, then the risk becomes the opportunity for that politician to set any policy they want, because
based on donors.
Right. You have not laid your role as a stakeholder. You have not presented yourself as a citizen that cares. You have not communicated with your neighbor to say, we have this similar demand or similar issue or similar cause, and we need this road fixed. We need this navigated. We need this side of the brush cleared to help us with security. Whatever it is,
Yeah.
you haven't made your demand known because you're not connected. And now that politician can do whatever they want and say, you did not communicate with me.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm leaving office, but that policy has been established. It's been voted upon, and your vote wasn't counted, and you're stuck with it until the next election.
Now we're reactively complaining for something we could have proactively driven. So that brings me to what brought you here to St. Petersburg. You didn't just pick it on the map. You accepted a position as a leader in Florida. So talk to us about accepting that position. How is it going? What do you think is the most important part of the work you get to do?
Oh, okay. There's some moving parts there. Let's unpack it. First, prior to 2021, coming here in May, I was a museum director for 21 years, starting with that museum when we talked about Isaac Hayes in Memphis, Tennessee. And from there, I was fortunate to lead some remarkable institutions around the country, art museum, 2 HBCU museums, and the State of Texas Museum, and did some work with the Smithsonian. So I was familiar with museums and historic preservation and cultural preservation, the value of telling stories that are untold and unrecognized. And when I was at Florida A&M, I developed some friendships with a couple of professors that were on the board of Florida Humanities. And during the pandemic, of course, I was a part of the Great Resignation. Everybody is sitting at home, closed up.
I've never heard it put so well.
Yeah, you're reading books that you didn't get a chance to read. You know, you have the stack of albums, vinyl that you're listening to, and you're saying, hey, there's a different me out there. Everybody, not everybody, but me. I was exploring other sides of me because you're not walking outside. You're inside with you for weeks on end. And I found out that, well, for the past 20 years, I've been dealing with African American history completely, solely. You know, art, music, history, what have you. There's the dynamics there. We can't overlook that. But there are a lot of institutions, fledgling, grassroots, mid-sized museums that are trying to tell stories as well. And you mentioned grant making and organizations that don't have access to grant writers and or don't know that resources are available. Florida Humanities is the NEH affiliate for this state, and it's distributed $20 million for National Endowment for the Humanities. And Florida Humanities is the state affiliate for that body, and its responsibility is to distribute money to organizations that capture and share the stories of Florida, wherever it is. And that's African American history and culture. That is dialogue and Vietnamese, Greek culture, everything that's a part of the tapestry that brings forth the Florida identity. And that could be someone who is from Africa who lives here now, from New York who lives here now, but they're contributing to a place like St. Pete and its eclectic, beautiful nature and cuisine, religion, architecture, interpretation of art criticism, music, all of those influences that inform our humanity, we support. And I saw it as an opportunity to take my experience with those museums and help museums around the state of Florida and cultural institutions and historic societies. It was another step in my career, and then think outside the box and be creative. And it's been the last part of the question, how has it been? It's been remarkable. It's been fun. I mentioned I was in Miami Saturday, then went to Fort Pierce Monday for Florida Main Street. There's another angle. Florida Main Street, the main streets around the state, they use heritage for economic development in rural communities, lesser trafficked communities. And, we think about heritage because the story needs to be told, but what can it do for communities to bring people in to go buy some ice cream while you're going to the theater? You go see someone dance or put up some art and you appreciate that, but while you're there, you're going to the hotel, just like the Chitlin circuit of the 20s and 30s, and it's been fun. I think that.
Are you the first African American to lead the organization?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I think there are only a few African Americans, 3 or 4 around the country. There are 56. There are 56 councils that fall under the NEH, and there's some diversity, but not a lot of African Americans. But yes, I'm the first one for Florida. And Florida is the 3rd largest in the country. So we've surpassed New York in population. So you have California, Texas, Florida, and then New York. So we're a significant player nationally. Some of the things we do, including the magazine we distribute, the digital humanities, we present the grant making. We're a leader. We set the pace for the country in a lot of ways.
What if any challenge have you faced taking this organization and then inserting aspects of your vision to execute, with your print?
Well,
tapestry as the word used.
I'm an optimist. And sometimes optimism and pragmatism and practical thinking, there can be a challenge in blending that when you're trying to innovate and move forward or change or adapt to a new wave. So the idea of digital humanities and trying to make archives come alive, not as an exhibit, but in some type of online environment, requires out-of-the-box thinking. Can we look at more documentaries as opposed can a small organization produce quality podcasts for the entire state as opposed to just a local community? Yeah. And so the challenge I face is being patient and allowing myself to listen and walk with people and meet them where they are. When I see a jewel in your story, and I think someone in Pensacola and Miami should hear that story, and you're saying my neighborhood really would enjoy this story. I'm like, what about everybody? They're not ready for it. I understand, and maybe they will be ready for it next year. Let's let them be successful this year and see if we can expand. So I have to have patience with this global thinking that I bring.
Were you the youngest also? You're fairly young. So for you to be leading this organization that's typically probably led by an older white male with a lot of grades, they're giving you some grades.
Yeah,
I see some grades.
I have some grades here. Yeah. And I keep my hair closer. I do. Yeah, some grades there.
So they're giving you some grades, but were you like one of the youngest? And when you look around the country.
Well, yeah, not around the country. There are some. I'll be 50 in April. There are a lot of emerging young women in roles. There's definitely some diversity. I think Maine, Ohio, Maryland, there are women in their 40s.
Okay.
There are women in their 40s, early 40s, late 30s. There's still some traditionalism. People stay in these roles for quite some time. Okay. There was an interim director before me. Chairman of the board became the director. But prior to that, the director was in this role for 20-something years.
Wow.
And that is consistent around the country. There are 5-year plans, and oftentimes they're allowed to see that through. Sometimes they see 2 or 3.
Okay.
And the NEH likes to see stability because you work with partners strategically and you like to see organizations grow. And if you're working with grassroots organizations, that growth takes some time.
And but it's Florida.
It's Florida. It's Florida. Yeah.
Did you? So like, it's funny because I never thought I would live in Florida, and here it is. I've been living here 27 years.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
I'm from Arkansas. I get it. Arkansas. I'm from the Mid-South, the Delta. I grew up walking to the Mississippi River, during the summer.
You talked initially about thinking that you would be possibly a school teacher, a principal, etc. But you're a professor, so
I do teach. Yes. Yeah, you remember? Yeah. So I do teach. I still teach humanities, and on occasion I teach African American arts when the schedule permits. I do enjoy that, so I think I will hold on to that. But the difference, my initial aspiration was to teach middle school history, but I'm teaching college students.
Right.
And so there's a difference. And then when you teach online, a lot of your students are 50, 60, 40 years old, and sometimes you don't see them. And I teach online, but yeah, my initial drive was to teach American history to middle school, so that my thought was that when you get to high school and eventually vote, you're prepared to contribute. And so that's
so as you're saying that, it made me think, I definitely need to have you as a guest with our teams, because I think they could benefit from hearing some of that. But I was also thinking you're one of my favorite chess partners.
Yes. So, did you know that the chess club here at St. Pete is the oldest one in the country?
No.
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah.
No way.
It's down on 4th. It's the oldest one in the country.
When you say down on 4th, you mean the guys that meet at a church?
No, it's right across from the Coliseum where you vote.
You're talking about the shuffleboard.
Yeah.
They also have a chess club there.
Right.
I've never been to that.
And it's the oldest one, the oldest one in the country. But yes, I still play chess.
Really, I need to step in.
Yeah.
It's weird because what I found here, like I know of a chess club, but it's male based, and I love to respect men having their spaces, and I don't like to be.
It's a mix. It's a mix of
over
youth.
Here. Okay.
Yeah,
so
it's a mix of youth. There are a couple of girls there that whooping the old men butt regularly. And chess is about critical thinking.
It is.
The pieces, I have 16, you have 16, and there's a few rules, and after that, it's about your creativity.
And your ability to think and to strategize and to be one move ahead.
That's how you lose. If you only one move ahead, you lose.
But I'm just saying, if you're not really looking at the entire board and then being able to respond. So a lot of times when you react, you lose. When you respond, you're in control of what's happening.
I will say, I will contribute to this conversation that every nonprofit leader needs to understand chess. If you are looking at things globally, an organization, and you have a variety of talents, a variety of personalities, but one mission, and you can bring that to a concert and have harmony and move that forward, that's a winning chess strategy. And if you become adept at that and you lose a few times, get your butt whooped, and then you find a way to win, you transfer that skill to leadership, and you are able to tolerate, accept, be patient when you need to. I talked about patience earlier, and you incorporate those skills in running an organization, because if you're leading a nonprofit, you're a steward of someone's donated money. And it's not just you that you're responsible for, and your passion. It is the reason why somebody donated to that cause. And the talents that are on your team are also going to be diverse with passions and interests, and to bring that all into one single sheet music, just play one song
Right.
and have it sound good is like playing chess. So I would say if your listeners, if you're looking to lead or you're finding challenges with your organization, I think chess can contribute to your critical thinking and help you.
I had a IT organization volunteer at the farm yesterday, and it's interesting because I do team building when organizations bring out their teams, right? And in this particular case, this leader was having the challenge of change occurring and naturally staff resisting change.
Mm.
And I said, have you ever read Who Moved My Cheese?
Ah,
I said,
yeah.
you know,
Kenneth Fletcher.
I said it might be a consideration to purchase it as a gift for your team.
Mm-hmm.
So I began to talk about the inevitable that is change.
Right.
And, you know, those who don't embrace change find themselves typically on the sideline and being passed by because they don't have an attitude of embracing sometimes a bit greater vision. And but I also talked about the what would you rather be doing? And if you weren't doing this, so no, this is what I've been saying to the organization. And the manager said, I'm glad I only brought out half my team. Because all of a sudden, I said, what would you rather be doing? The person said, well, I really always just wanted to help kids and coach basketball and sports. I'm like, and what's stopping you from doing that?
It should be anything.
So, but you, Nashid, what's the one thing or a thing that has eluded you that you want to accomplish that you haven't maybe accomplished?
Oh, well, I guess I have two.
Mm-hmm.
Two things. I pride myself on being a decent writer, but and I write, poetry and prose, philosophy. And this year, I finally finished a manuscript.
Mm.
And yeah, thank you. Oh, sorry, right here. Yeah. So and it's I'm calling it right now a contemporary key to American optimism.
Mm.
And the challenge I think that we have is we don't politically or socially we haven't stopped to smell the roses, and I know that there are a lot of battles that we need to continue to pursue and solve, but just over 100 years ago, women could not vote.
Mm.
Just over 100 years ago, if you fought in the military, you could not vote.
Mm-hmm.
And, a couple of 100 years ago, African Americans were 3/5 of a citizen and not a citizen. And I know we still have strides. There's the debate between W.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington still resonates. Should you own a business or should you go to school? But that debate goes back to Marcus Aurelius. So I talk about some of the original Greek and African philosophies there, and it's not so much knowing your history so that you can avoid living perpetually in the it is knowing the foundation of why we do what we do and setting those building blocks and knowing where those building blocks exist so you know where to step. You don't want to step on this block and you're actually moving backwards.
Yeah.
You want to step on the right block so that you can move, you step up and bring people with you.
So published author.
And that's what I want to do. And then play the guitar.
Okay.
Yeah, so I picked up the guitar this year, and I've been trying to learn. A good friend of yours, JJ Pattershaw, has been helping me to learn. And I'm left-handed, so he's right-handed. So he's been really patient with me, and I've turned the corner on a couple of things. And so I've been at it for about 7 months or so, and it's.
What can you play on the guitar?
Redemption Song. Redemption Song. And Born on a Bad Sign by Albert King. Albert King is my favorite guitarist. He's a left-handed guitarist, and Spoonful, Howlin' Wolf. So those are blues and reggae.
Blues, reggae. playing the guitar, getting when should we expect to see the book published?
So I don't know. Hopefully this winter. I'm looking at some. Well, the manuscript is done. So what I'm trying to
How
add
many
to it.
years have you been working on it?
So it is. Good question. It is a result of the third week in this course I've taught for the past 12 years in the humanities. In the third week, we looked at our politic and the understanding that politics is not always government. Politics is how gender interact, how you interact in hierarchies in your neighborhood, in your classroom, and people understanding their place in society. And that third week of lectures and my perspective and research just kind of flowed. And I started writing it as a summary earlier this year. And I said, oh, this might be something to think about. And I came across somebody that disagreed with me and said, there's no reason for anybody in America to be optimistic. And I said, I'm an optimist. And that became, here's a key to American optimism. So that's it. So it just kind of flowed. It's a simple. I wanted to be a quick read. It's a simple 8-chapter read, and I'm trying to add some thoughtful poetry to it.
Okay.
And a few pictures.
And I want to help you with that, with a tour for this book, at least here locally.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, there's got to be a book tour and book signing and all of that. But I already have some ideas. Thank you.
Oh, thank
you. What are you drinking?
This is the Green Dream.
Green Dream.
Green Dream. We're at Raining Berries, and this is has some spinach and a variety of other things. I'm not sure. I'm sure it's vegetarian. It's a smoothie.
So little did you know you're having a vegetarian moment sipping. Yeah. So cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
To this time of sitting
congratulations
together.
On your show.
Thank you. And I trust that we've left everyone listening with a few bits and bites to chew on. Until next time.